What's going on, fellas? So, if you are working hard in life, taking care of your business, going to the gym, making money, looks maxing, everything you're supposed to be doing as a man to level up, but you're still not attracting what you want in life, 9 times out of 10, it's because your frequency is off. All right, fellas, no matter how much outside work you do, no matter how much you fix the things that you can see around you, if you do not have control over your mind, your responses, your reactions to the things people do, the things people say, the inconveniences of life, you may accomplish some things and you may see some results, but you'll never get up to that high level you want to get to if you're vibrating low and your frequency is off because you're carrying things around you or you're carrying things with you that are no longer aligned. All right, fellas. So I'm not going to tell you what to do today. I'm just going to show you some things that you're probably missing. All right, guys, because sometimes it's not about the work you put in. It's not about what you say. It's not about how you say it. Most times, 99% of the time, it's about your intention, your spirit, the frequency that you have and that you're on when you go for those things that you want. All right, fellas, so this is a big one. All right, guys, number one. This is something that a lot of you guys are carrying with you to those higher levels in life. And this is why you keep getting knocked down or you hit a plateau. Resentment and bitterness. All right, G, so I'll give you an example before I explain this. Let's say you're a man or a woman and you started off with humble beginnings. You had a lot of people around you. You had friends, people that you hung out with, people you had fun with. But as you level up in life, some of those people either betrayed you, did you wrong, walked out on you, talked trash about you, whatever the case is, fellas. They did something to you to the point to where you may develop resentment or bitterness to that person, to that situation. Now, fellas, hear me clear. You probably had that resentment and bitterness when you were at that lower level in life, that lower frequency, those humble beginnings. But now you're moving up. All right, fellas? And if you carry this on your way up, everything that you touch, all right, at this new level will be affected by your past and by that shit you're holding on to. All right, fellas. So there's this word, this powerful word called forgiveness. One thing you got to learn how to do is forgive other people. But G, that ain't even a problem. Because it's easy to say, well, I understand why that person did me wrong. I get it. They were like in their feelings or they were being selfish at the time. You know, they were surviving. So I understand why they did me wrong. But some of you guys need to do this. Some of you guys need to forgive yourself. All right. A lot of you guys are holding resentment and bitterness and regret from a lot of the shit that you did. G, if you are going up in life, there is no room for this right here. And the reason why, G, when you go on a trip, all right, let's say me and you go on a trip, and I tell you, I'm like, G, look, I got about 4 or 5 people in this van, all right? So I have so much space for luggage, for extra people. If you bring a cat or a dog, I need to know beforehand. Why? Because I got to make sure I got enough space for everybody, right, G? Now, let's say you told me you had 2 bags, all right? That's what you told me before the trip. You had 2 bags. But by the time the trip come, you got like 5 bags of cat, a little fucking gerbil, whatever fucking the little hamster things called in the cage. So basically, you're cluttering up the car. We can't go nowhere, G. Why? Because you don't replace the seats that other people were supposed to sit in with all the bullshit you carrying on. Shit that you ain't even gonna use while we on our 3-day trip. G, why the fuck you gotta bring your parrot to our 3-day trip? Let Polly stay at home, G. All right, we got shit to do. So what you're doing is you're loading up the car with unnecessary shit. So we ain't gonna never get to where we need to go because whole time we standing outside the car trying to configure shit, trying to stack shit on top of each other just to get where we need to go. All right, am I ringing the bell for any of you guys? So guys, you cannot carry resentment, bitterness, regret, malice, hate, envy, judgment, all this shit. You got to leave it behind. I know it's hard, G, because I know every time you look at that sweater in your closet that your ex gave you, you get mad. G, throw the sweater away. All right? Any paraphernalia that resembles your past, if it's not teaching you a lesson, G, if you learned the lesson, throw it away. You don't need souvenirs from your past, G, all right? So, back to your mind. You cannot Operate at a higher frequency. You cannot vibrate higher at the level you need to attract the things you actually want. Gee, some of the stuff you're going to get from work. I guarantee you, some stuff you just going to get from blood, sweat, and tears. And ain't nothing nobody can do or say about it. Why? Because there's a thing called competition. All right, fellas? And hard work beats talent in most cases. All right, G? But at the same time, there is a level, a threshold that you will never break through if you don't let certain shit go. Now, G, this was just number one. All right, but I'm going to tell you this. If you just get rid of number one, fellas, I guarantee you will clear up so much space in your mind. All right? Let's say this is your mind. Bro, I swear, a lot of you guys' mind, you got some other shit going on in there as well we're going to talk about. But most of you guys' mind is cluttered with this. That's that portion of your mind. Gee, if you let that go, you will have room for other stuff to come in. There's relationships that you can mend and balance at least. I ain't say they got to be great and go back how they used to be. You can at least balance these relationships because some of these relationships that a lot of you guys walk out on and you say, oh, they did me wrong, they did me bad. Gee, how many people you done did wrong that have forgave you? You know what I'm saying? So you got to let some of that shit go. Now, number two. Because this is the thing, fellas, especially now I can see if you got this shit in your head, right? And you're trying to battle with it and you're praying to God and you're meditating and everything. But when you start telling people about this shit and you start complaining to people and bringing up old shit that ain't got nothing to do with the present, gee, when you broadcast something out into the world, I want you to understand there's a law of correspondence. So when you put it into the universe, that shit coming right back to you. It's called karma. All right, fellas, and it works in different ways. When you put water in the fucking ground, what comes out? Life. All right, when you put sperm in a woman, what comes out? Life. When you put negativity in the world, you bring it to life. All right, G? Next one. And I did a video about this, and I'm going to try to spell this right. I did a video about this, Jesus, about a week ago, all right, fellas? And I gave you many ways on how you can literally drop your aura just by your habits, just by your day-to-day habits, your day-to-day tendencies. These things you do subconsciously that you don't even know you're doing, and you done it so much that they become a habit. All right, fellas? Now, there is nothing wrong with living life. All right, fellas? But you got to understand, as a man, there is something that you have inside of your body that God gave you, and it's called your life force. All right, now, this thing about it, it's your life force, your life. So you can do whatever you want with it. Remember I said I'm not going to tell you what to do. I'm just going to tell you what you're doing. All right, not all you guys, but some of you guys are overindulging. All right, that's that. See, I didn't say indulging because you can indulge sometimes. All right, if you done worked hard in the gym, G, and your girl buy you a chocolate cake after 6 months of working hard and you want to snack on a piece of cake, gee, I ain't sweating it. I do it too. I love pancakes. And that's my reward. When I look in the mirror and I'm like, damn, you've been working hard, G. You deserve some pancakes. So it's okay. But when you overindulge, all right, G, overindulge in lust, all right, I found out that lust is not entirely bad. It is not bad to lust over a woman. When you see a beautiful woman, G, and she look G, and she looking good, bruh, it's not bad to take a little glance. It's not bad. But when you overdo it, fellas, when your gaze gets to the point to where you're starting to discuss that woman, that's just an example. All right, you're almost discussing yourself. If you look in the mirror, G, like how some of you guys look at these women in the gym, you would scare yourself. That's why they run away. But anyway, back to the point. When you overindulge in lust, fellas, you're literally draining your life force. You do not have to bust a nut for this to happen. It's your mind, and I'll prove it. Like I said, there are guys who can bust nuts 3 times a day because they just in abundance like that with women. But their life force never really depletes, and they don't detract stuff, and they actually attract abundance. Why? Because it's all up here. This shit doesn't control their mind. All right, fellas, they're not reactive to this. If they see a beautiful woman, they make a conscious choice whether or not they want to approach. They're not thinking with their dick. All right, fellas, yes, that's a portion of it. That's the engine, but that's not the driver. All right, fellas, you got to get in the front seat of your mind. You guys done took the engine, which is your dick, and put it in the front seat. Now your shit just going all over the place. Gee, calm down. Something you guys got to understand is your sexual energy, whether that's physically, mentally, spiritually, it doesn't matter. is sacred. Your sexual energy is sacred, guys. So you cannot waste it mentally chasing women. You cannot waste it physically busting nuts every time. And let me tell you something. Ain't nothing wrong with busting a nut. All right, fellas, but when you're doing it out of scarcity, when you're doing it because you're trying to manipulate women because you just want ass and you're promising women you're going to marry them and whole time you just want ass, when you're doing it out of love, it's okay. When you're doing it out of a genuine mutual connection between you and the woman, it's okay. So if you meet a woman at the mall, and y'all lock eyes and it's like that spiritual fucking connection and y'all can't contain it and y'all go in the bathroom and have a ball, I ain't saying it's morally right. All right, fellas, but ain't nobody getting used. Ain't nobody getting manipulated. So you're conscious, she conscious, you're aware, she's aware, you're sober, she's sober. Everything's okay. It's an unspoken contract. But when you guys move like snakes and you go behind closed doors with this shit and you lie to get this shit and you try to be somebody else to get this shit, that is the problem. Let's move on. One thing you got to understand about your frequency. All right, fellas. The tongue is very powerful, meaning what you say. Now, number 3, I was going to say talking too much. All right, but I'm going to be professional. All right, guys, I'm going to say speaking without purpose. Law number 4 of the 48 laws of power. Never say more or always say less than necessary. All right, fellas, basically. So what you got to understand, fellas, is when you speak, all right, remember I said, I got this 3-step process that I do every fucking morning, fellas, all right? I think about what I want. I write it on this small little notepad, all right, guys? This little black little notepad I got. I think it, I write it, and then I say it. All right, fellas, the most important part of that whole thing, next to me thinking it, is me saying it. That's why that's the last part, and that's why that's the final part. Because once I say it, I put it into the world. All right, fellas, so it can matter or not matter depending on my energy or my intent or my spirit or my frequency. So let me land this plane, When you say something, all right, fellas, make sure you think before you say something. Because a lot of you guys are talking, but ain't nothing really coming out. That's why you're not getting people's attention. That's why people don't care when you talk. That's why when you speak, you don't get the respect that you know you deserve as a man. Why? Because you're speaking without purpose. All right, fellas, I'll give an example. First of all, fucking example. I'm going to tell you this. The easiest way to do this, all right, fellas, to speak with purpose. And when you speak, your words mean something and people listen and you make shit move in the room is you controlling your emotions, all right? Half the time you say something, it's not even you that's saying it. It's those little demons inside of you. Fear, scarcity, lack, without, doubt. All this shit is speaking before you even want to say something. That's why when you say it, you regret it. Why? Because it ain't you. It lacks purpose. It's low frequency, low vibrational shit. All right, fellas? So you got to understand, before you talk, think about what you want to say. Think about your words and how they matter and the end result of what you say before you open your mouth. This is nothing to play with. That's why the first thing God did was speak. Let there be light. God ain't do shit else. He just spoke. All right, fellas? Your words. All right? The tongue. Your voice. When you talk to a little kid, anything you say to a little kid, it matters. Why? Because their brain is being molded. It's not what they see. It's not even what you say. It's your intent behind it. It's the purpose behind it. That's why you can tell a little kid you love them and they know when you lying. All right, fellas, why? Because they see through all that bullshit. They haven't been clouded by the world yet. So they're conscious as fuck. So when you say something, they'll read you like a book and they can tell whether or not you're speaking with purpose, whether or not you really mean what you say. You can be a blabbermouth, all right? I'm a blabbermouth when I need to be, but you don't. That's why I watch what I say on my channel. That's why I don't just be telling you guys anything. I cross my T's and dot my I's. Why? Because there's thousands of men that's listening to me. So I'm projecting energy out into the world when I speak. As within, so without. So if I'm projecting energy, words, voice that has no purpose, all right, that has no guidance, that's not grounded, what you think is going to come back to me? All right, fellas? So pay attention. So when you talk to women, let's lighten up the mood. When you talk to women, fellas, you don't got to talk that much, to be honest with you. So if you ain't got game, that's okay. Just get conscious. Just get present. Just get aware. Just have a purpose. And I guarantee you that's going to speak for itself. All right, guys? All right, now number 4, and this is a big one. Did a video about this. All right, 6 type of men. Put that video in the description. 6 type of men that you should stay away from. All right, and this is one of them. All right, and this, I don't think this was on the list, but I'm adding this to that list. Low vibrational men. All right, or low vibrational people, but I'm gonna say men. All right, guys, because you guys already know to stay away from them critters. But fellas, some people, I'm not gonna say they're not meant for you. All right, I don't know what's meant for you. Sometimes you don't know what's meant for you. We don't know the ending yet. But I'll tell you this, it's not hard to be present, pay attention, and understand when something's not aligned and when somebody is draining your power. All right, fellas, sometimes it ain't you. I know y'all saw the thumbnail. I said you're draining your power. But sometimes you're letting other people drain your power as well. This one's going to be quick. You need to stay away from men who complain, men who whine, lazy men, broke men, and I mean broke-minded. It's not always financial. You need to stay away from simps. You need to stay away from betas. And I ain't judging nobody, but y'all know what I mean by betas. Men who basically categorized by all those other things I said. All right, fellas, any man that doesn't align with who you are or who you want to be or the type of men you want around you, get them the fuck away from you, fellas. Just like that luggage I was telling y'all about on that trip to Mexico I was taking you on. Gee, we can't go to Mexico if you bring in low vibrational people with you. All right, you can be radiating through the goddamn roof, but if you got low energy around you, G, the shit ain't gonna work. All right, you can be in a goddamn sanctuary of abundance, but if a piece of cancer come in there, G, it's gonna spread like wildfire. So you gotta get them out. See, you think you can keep that little one homeboy around you, you know, Johnny, that's always complaining, and y'all just like, oh, that's Johnny, that's how Johnny is. No, Johnny is a cancer, and you may not see the effect while he's there, but get him away from around you, G. I guarantee you, you just gonna feel this breath of fresh air. Again, you're gonna be like, what the fuck changed, G? I thought Johnny was cool. Johnny ain't bad. Johnny just low vibrational. All right, fellas? So get rid of Billy too. All right? Next one. All right, fellas. So I had a little technical difficulty with the camera, but moving on to number 6. All right? I need you to understand something. Every man has a spirit. All right? Every man has a spirit. Every man has a soul. Every man has an inner voice that it will speak to you at times when you know you're not doing the right thing. When you know you're not aligned with the man who you know you are. I did not say the man who you want to be. There is a man inside of you that's living and breathing. And he speaks to you every single time you decide to make a dumbass decision. All right, fellas? So you have to listen to that man. And the more you listen to that man, the more you follow God's voice. Because that's all that man is. G, it ain't my voice. It ain't no fucking magical spirit in the air. It ain't no ghost. It ain't no genie. It's basically God. That's your spirit talking to you, giving you direction through life. So when you don't follow that direction, you will be misaligned and you will attract the things that you don't want. You know, so in the moment, your mind is telling you you want those things. Why? Because you're following your lust. You're following these dark desires. You're following your temptations. You're following envy. You're following grief. You're following greed. You're following all these things that's not meant for you. And those things are not directing you to the results, to the outcomes, and to the abundance that's meant for you. And it's something I'm going to do for you guys. I'm going to give you some imagery. All right, fellas. And I want you to picture yourself underwater. You can't breathe. Somebody just threw you in a fucking ocean. You cannot breathe. All right. You're damn near drowning. This is a representation of you guys who are struggling right now. You're rock bottom. Some of you guys who need to be in ghost mode right now. You're at that point in your life where you've made mistakes. You've done some dumb shit. And now you're reaping the repercussions and consequences of the things that you've done. So you're rock bottom, you're struggling. Maybe you're behind on your bills. Maybe your relationship absolutely sucks. Maybe your health is bad. Who knows? But you're underwater. Gee, at that point, at this stage, because I've been there before. I'm not judging, but gee, at this stage, you need to swim up to the top. You need to grind. You need to chase your dreams. You need to go hard. You don't need any sleep. You don't need any rest. You don't need any fun, any sugar, any women, nothing. You should not be worried about meditating and attracting right now. Stay your ass in prayer. All right, fellas, but you don't need the shit that I'm about to tell you right now. But for the guys who your head is above water, why? Because you've done the work. You've already proven to God that you can bleed, you can sweat, you can cry without folding. You've done the work already. Now your head is above water. Now you can breathe. Now it's time for you to think. It's time for you to think. It's time for you to attract. It's time for you to manifest. All right, fellas, You are not supposed to be struggling on this planet. All right, your world is supposed to be full of gold. You're supposed to have everything that you speak. That's why I said earlier, your words matter. You speak power into things when you talk. All right, fellas. So point number 6, stop forcing shit. All right, guys, you do not have to force what's meant for you. You do not have to force things when you're aligned. You do not have to chase when you attract. All right, fellas. So I appreciate you guys for tuning in today. Make sure y'all share this video with a homeboy or family member or friend that this will help out. All right, fellas. It's your boy, KD. We out here, baby.